Save 8% off your order at TrueTechTools.com by using the Shop Talk discount code. Welcome back to HVAC Shop Talk. That's all the intro we need today. What's up? I have Ted Cook with me, Anti-DIY HVAC on YouTube. What's up, man?
All right. How's it going?
It's great. We can just pick up, and what I try to do is just have the exact same conversation that we started, just modify it, take all the stuff out that people shouldn't hear, and just continue it. If you like doing it like that, I think that's good.
I didn't know anybody shouldn't hear anything.
Hey, I'm fine. That's fine with me. All right, let's just proceed. So we have Ted here. Ted, your channel is linked in the description here for anyone who wants to click on it. But you know what? I'm betting you're already subscribed. I'm gonna go ahead and make that guess that these people have already subscribed to you, because from what I've noticed, and you may be too humble for this, but you're like a blue collar hero on YouTube, Ted. Look at your face change when that happens. Ted Cook. Yes, that's correct.
I don't know about that.
No, people do enjoy watching your videos, and I see the comments down there. They really enjoy the service calls. In fact, somebody had asked because I asked people if they had any questions for you. One guy's like, "Why are there no more giveaways?" And I could see myself. I could answer the question for you, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong.
I think I could dig that, whether you were right or wrong. I'd like that. That'd be awesome. Can we try that with all the questions?
Yes, we can. We have a lot of questions for you tonight, Ted.
Hey,
there was like well, there's like 5 or 6, and some of them I didn't do because they weren't really pertinent to the show at all. But some of them were really, really good, but I didn't write them down. Some of them were out there. So that was one of the questions. So, all right. To me, I thought you'd always want to do like service call videos. You see, that's where it's at. So you forgot about the giveaway. Said, it's not really doing anything. It's not as good as doing service calls. But is that the reason why you don't do them anymore?
That's the reason you use to make it look all nice and everything. But no, the reason I did the giveaways in the first place was to buy some subscribers and boost up the fan base and subscriber base.
Right.
And then once it got going pretty good, I didn't have to do them anymore.
So that's the plain talk for what everybody's actually doing out there when they do this stuff.
That's pretty bad.
I think it's exactly what everybody does. I mean, I think that everyone does that.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to throw it on everybody for, stirring up a bunch of attention. No, but honestly, I did have fun doing it. But time became of the issue, and became of the essence. And honestly, the first giveaway, if you remember, was to celebrate 100 subscribers.
Wow, that's a long time back then.
That's what I had. That's 2-3 years ago. I had 100 subscribers, and I got one of those things that I had gotten so many comments on that I used to clean coils with, a non-pump sprayer, never pump sprayer, whatever. And I got one of those and said, I'm going to give this away. And I had that little ping pong. What I was doing was reliving something I used to do in the home show every year was I would give away a free something, digital camera when they were first popular. And an iPad was the most popular thing. Win a free iPad. And I had those balls that take out of the ping pong ball thing.
So you used the same setup when you were doing that.
Before YouTube or the internet, this was in 90, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right up till 2000. I did the home show every year when I had time. And I would be in that home and garden show, and I would give away, like I said, when digital cameras I had computers in 93 and 4 when hardly anybody did.
Didn't you build computers, you said?
I did. I put them together. The hard part about that wasn't like plugging the boards in. The hard part was knowing how to load 1,000 drivers to do 7 things with Windows, 3.1, 95, 98. I did it when you could make some money, but nonetheless, the giveaways, celebrated 100 subscribers. Great response to it. Then I noticed that if you type giveaway in the title of a video, people get attracted to that channel. And,
yeah, it does that.
All of a sudden I realized, hey, kind of a cheating way of doing it. But so then I started more so, gearing the tool bags and gearing them towards the real people that I really wanted. Because what I really wanted was the other techs, the people like Joe Shear and Shannon Knight, the people, some of them that I see, and Hoser, which I gave Hoser his name, by the way. I'm sure he doesn't mind me taking credit for that. But that's
remember.
Actually Corey. Corey Knight? No, not
big
Knight.
fan.
Corey.
Keep guessing. He's a huge fan of yours. Of course, you remember his last name.
I'm a fan of his too, Corey DeSormo.
That's it.
So anyway, I gave him his Hoser name, and that was all in fun. We were just having fun. And Shannon never stuck to his name of Shannon. I wear my sunglasses at night, and I gave him that because his little icon there has sunglasses on. But
maybe he runs out of fonts and characters to type whenever he types some of the names you give people, because that's pretty long one.
Yeah, I've always been like that, so I don't mean anything by it, but I've always tried to have fun like that. But anyway, that also built. So the whole giveaway thing was really a networking thing of stopping the DIY people who at first I thought that I didn't want watching and subscribing. And then I realized actually I do want them because they do pay me a lot of money. And the anti-DIY, that's a disclaimer. So what it really means is, no, don't do this. Yes, it's dangerous, but I know you're going to, so watch mine to do it so I make money on it. So that's kind of a cheap shot. But the giveaways, I'm not going to say they're never coming back. I'll tell you what, I'm definitely going to bring some back because I've got this big new facility to show off, And so we're building it right now. This car dealer comes up to me, and I've been running them off for 3 years, 2.5 years. No, get out of here. I'm going to sell it when I retire. And this one guy comes up, and he just got stupid ridiculous with his money. And I topped that. I said, well, not only am I not leaving, but you're going to have to pay this to get me to leave. And he shows up the next day with a contract. And I'm like,
Serious?
Whoa, hold on, dude. I don't even know how to read that thing. I ain't, hold up here. He has a checkbook out. I'll give you the earnest money now. And I'm like, wait a minute. We don't have any agents. I'm not a real estate czar. I don't know how to do this. You're going to have to slow down. So I brought my agent in the next day and met him, and she didn't like his contract. And he says, well, let's use one of yours. You got one? She pulled one out of her brief. Within 30 minutes, it was signed. And I had an earnest check, and I was like, okay, I guess this is happening. I wasn't planning to leave. So I took that money, paid my house way down, put the company back into another. So I got a really good facility this time. I'm really proud of it. I'm really going to have a lot of fun. So that's why, even though nobody asked this question, so maybe it's a spoiler alert for another question, but that's why I haven't made videos for about 3 or 4 weeks. Because I've been soaked into getting everything done. Look, there he is. He's crossing off that question because I just answered it.
Yeah.
Why haven't I made any videos?
I did cross out a question.
So I
You're
should
exactly right.
probably shut up before I ruin anything else.
It's not ruining it. You're just going a different way to get to the same thing.
But let's do a little more honesty in that. Will the giveaways ever be back like on a weekly basis or something? Probably not.
And why would you? I mean, you got like a good thing going here with the service calls. I mean, this is what the guys want,
That's
really.
what they want. And I've polled them. I've done a lot of what you always did. So I learned a lot from you on YouTube. And I've always, watched, I won't mention names, but watched several of you. And you were one of them. But if nobody's not here, I'm not going to bring them up. But I've always watched what everybody was doing and saying, I need to do some of that and add a little spin to it and see if I can get in the game, right? And so those poll things, like I'd see you do something and I'd spend like hours trying to figure out what and how you did just to keep from making one phone call, And,
well, you know what? The funny thing about that is I would do something and I was fairly good at being creative, but everyone would always be more successful with my creation than I was. It was almost funny.
Dude, I tried to tell you a couple times, but
it doesn't bother me. I have when people ask me, says you don't get quite as many views as the other guys. I said I have a group of guys watching me that I just love. We have such a good time. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, out of just outright fairness, I would say respect, but I don't want to start lying. I mean, just outright fairness and doing the right thing. I've managed not to steal a couple of your ideas, but there's one or two that I'd just love to just take and run with. I really would, but it's just not the right thing to do.
Ted, do you want to play Skill Trade up on your channel?
Bad, real bad.
Tell you what, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
It's just not the right thing to do.
It actually would be fine with me. I don't really do it very often.
No, you're not gonna sell it to me. You're not gonna let me pay you for it. So I'm not even gonna go down that road. Do you remember how hard I had to chase and beg and kick and squeal and cry to get some cowboy rights? I mean,
yeah, and I would just give them to you.
But that wasn't fair. That wasn't right.
And you were quoting reasons that weren't actually legal. Like it was like the Secretary of State, and we were in a different state, so you can still use the same name in a different state, which I thought was funny. And I know you know the difference though, so that was very nice of you.
But that's bad. That's wrong, man. To go just because I'm here, I'll go set my LLC up and I got the rights to, that's just not the thing to do.
Well,
it's just not.
Well, let's talk about that though. Let's talk about
if it would ever come up in the community. Like you stole that, I tell you what, man, if I want to make enemies, all I got to do is show up and be myself. I don't have to put any extra effort into stealing ideas to make it, I get enough problems on my own. I used to ask my dad, when I'd be in trouble, he'd be yelling, what'd I do? He'd say, showed up. That was his go-to to just, my last little bit of self-esteem,
Ted, I'll tell you what, I think I have a similar issue as you. I will go somewhere and I will just have what I think is a normal day and I'll leave and then 10 people will be angry and I won't know why.
Because you showed up.
Because it's something I said or did and it happens all the time and I don't mean anything by it. I think sometimes my delivery is not as good as it could be. Yeah, maybe that's it.
That's something I learned by being a married man is the delivery system dilemma there. But
that's what I'm thinking about actually.
There's nothing really wrong with my personality. It's just the things I say and do.
Sound like Bill Burr. It's just my overall vibe.
Is that where I got that?
It's not the same thing. It was just similar to something I heard him say. It says, all she has on me is my overall vibe. And he's talking to Conan O'Brien and Conan's like, so all she has on you is your entire personality is what you're saying. He's like, yeah, I guess so. But that's what it's like. That's what it is right there. So, yeah. So what's the deal with the Cowboys thing? Is that going to continue or what?
Absolutely, it's going to continue.
How many do you have? 3 or 4 of them?
Well, there's the pilot, which was, a backyard guy, and it was kind of a joke. I mean, the in the end, it was just not really good. But the pilot episode was absolutely real. It was the stuff that actually happened, over the years, and I put it all and reenacted it. Then I ran into a guy that actually makes movies, a lot of faith-based movies, and he's well known on a few things. And he has a house here because one of his kids lives here, and he has a house in Chicago, one in Atlanta, and one in Las Vegas. And that's the guy that produced and did the episodes 1, 2, and 3. Now, his taste and that it just, I tell you, I feel like those were backwards. I feel like number 3 should have been number 1, then 2, then what, I feel like it was totally backwards. And he had this thing of let's get to know Ted, and I was like, dude, what makes you think everybody's interested in that? We gotta clown around or blow something up or burn something down here. It's not going to be, let's empty out my pockets and drive through with a race car and everybody, he, look at Ted, but I went along with him. I let him make them. But so I'm not going to give away what the next one is. And there's still one that I've had. Okay, those were unscripted, totally. That 1, 2, and 3. True reality. Now I'm going back to the scripted, or at least I did and laid out, and this is what we're going to do, not necessarily a script. So there is 2 more. One is already filmed. The next one that we're going to film may actually get released before the one we already filmed. And the name of it is going to be Sabotage. And that's about all that's going to come out about that. But I'll tell you what, it's going to involve some people, and it's going to be about some things. And within the YouTube community, there will be a couple of significant tree shakers. What do you call those things? A couple of there'll be a couple of things that are.
Are you dropping bombs? Is that what it is?
There
rattling cages.
There will be some people that feel like that happened.
Oh, I can't wait to see whatever this is.
That's called Sabotage.
Sabotage. So when is that going to come out? I mean, rough estimate. I know you don't know exactly yet.
No, it's going to be released before what we just did. So what we just did really just took 2 days. The Sabotage is going to take a few days to film, and it has a storyline, a base. It's going to be a pretty good one for the community. Now, it's never going to be some big show that gets popular on YouTube. It's going to be a good one for, 5,000 or 6,000 or so of my subscribers that are actually HVAC people,
Is that what you want the shows to be? Do you want them to be just kind of singled out to our little niche here, or my impression is you wanted it to be bigger than that, though. I thought maybe I was wrong about that.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I'd love to be Duck Dynasty or something, but come on, man, is that really going to happen?
It's funny that you said that, because I am certainly sure that I saw there was an HVAC show on Netflix.
Really?
I'm going to type it in real quick while you're kind of explaining more about the upcoming fun.
I don't remember that, but I'm going to take the rare opportunity to make a note.
Like HVAC Wars. It's some kind of, I want to say it's like a competition style show. I don't know what it is. I don't see it when I search those. So maybe I was wrong. I'm so sure I saw that.
Don't tell me that. Seriously.
I know it's out there. That wasn't a dream, because I'd never dream about that.
That totally ruins my next. I thought I had an idea. Now, Sabotage, nobody's got that idea. No, I'm telling you now, man. Y'all may tell you about it when we sign off here. Nobody, this thing here, this is going to be happening. And there's going to be some people, Joe, what are you talking about? I eat slow. What?
Maybe he's referring to you did an episode where you were eating with like your main guy, your main tech guy or installer.
I didn't eat any of that crap.
Well, that was the idea of the episode. You were supposedly going to eat whatever that crap is y'all were eating that I probably wouldn't eat either.
Sushi, man, are you kidding? No, what they did was now see, I didn't even know any of that. I went over there and he whips all this out. Those 3 shows were true reality. I was only able to really be myself in that 3rd one. And
is that the one where you shot the drone? Didn't you
yes.
shoot a drone or something?
Yes. I was very mad about that. And they followed me with that thing for 3 days and I'd had enough. And I mean, I was just, we had fought over it. There'd been a lot going on, man. And I'll tell you, the blooper reel. Now, I own all that footage. I don't have it yet, but the bloopers or outtakes, whatever you call it, that reel, that's going to be funny. Because when I shot that drone, those other 2 cameramen, well, the one guy that owned it, he had a little baby fit. So the other 2 cameramen were laughing extremely hard. And he really didn't know. They weren't laughing because I shot the drone. They were laughing because he was crying like a little girl over his little device. And I told him to keep that thing. And Connie said, you ain't going to do it. And that's just why it happened. I mean.
Did you buy him another drone? I know you did. You must have bought him some kind of 4-bladed spinning wonder.
In the end, no, I didn't knuckle under to him. However, in the end, days later, when the actual producer, the actual director, the head guy, said that he was going to pay for his drone, I did. And it was $400.
I knew you would.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time.
Well, now I would turn around and it would be like right here. And those spinning, I mean, I really didn't like that thing. I tried to cotton to it. I just couldn't, I really didn't like it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't like them either.
When he pulled that thing out and we were out, I don't even like people getting that close to me in my space. If we're this far apart, in a crawl space, I'm really going to get some big money for that, or I'm not going to be that close to you. Hey man, that's just not me.
Ain't no reason to be that close in a crawl space unless there's a trunk duck in between you.
Hey, I can dig that, and I can hand you something, you can hand me something, and that's fine, and we can get the job done, and I can shake hands for a minute, but I just ain't all touchy-feely. I ain't even that much of that with my wife, But anyway, that thing kept getting in my space, and I really grew to hate it. And we were always in the city. We were always in a customer's yard. We were always somewhere where I really couldn't,
shoot it down.
Yeah. Because I had been thinking about that. And they all thought I was just threatening, and Connie said, you ain't going to do it. Just, gone. And so that
what did you shoot it with?
A little 9.
How far away was it?
Probably 10 feet. I mean, it wasn't as bad as it had. I had just had it with that thing. And they promised me actually that day, all right, we were finished. It was over and we were done. And one of them says, what do you do with that? I said, well, we have this huge junkyard. And he started getting interested in it. And I said, well, you know what? Actually, I think the junkyard might be something for you to see. And you could walk through it with your camera. And we have all these rows and rows and rows of junk just waiting on scrap to go up and down to get the money,
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, yeah, okay, we'll go out there. And I had forgot about the drone. I mean, it was all over, and I thought, okay, that's fine. And I heard it, and I heard that noise, and I said, that better not be. I might have said a couple things they had to cut out, beep out, whatever.
Oh dear.
But when it got right over my head, I said, man, I'm gonna blow that thing out of the sky. And she said, you ain't gonna do it. That was all it took. And bam, it was gone. So I hit it once, and I can't believe they edited it so much, because the first time I hit it, it just started spinning because I must have hit one of the blades.
Mm-hmm.
So the footage from the camera was just priceless. I mean, it was like, and then went, whatever it says, error message. And then I hit it again, and it flew upside down and landed on top of my van. But,
poetic justice.
But nobody was expecting it, so there was no camera on it. So,
well, that's a shame.
You're not kidding.
The only camera was the one you shot.
No, there were 3 cameras at all times running at all times for the whole 3 days. There were 3 cameras running, and they were all basically, focused on us. Here comes the drone. Well, no. Well, first of all, if I'd have said, "Hey, I'm going to shoot this thing, follow it," nobody knew where it was going to go. And I mean, it flew about probably 20 feet over, upside down, bam, and landed right on top of one of the Connie's van. And I mean, I wish we had that footage. But the real joke is that guy, I can't believe you did that, throwing his little baby fit, and everybody laughing at him. And I was just like, fly it over here now, dude,
Are these the guys that are going to do all the future stuff too for you?
Absolutely.
So this guy that you shot his drone and he, like quoting you, cried like a girl, is going to be the guy that's there for every video from here on out?
He was at my house last week, and he came all the way from Las Vegas here to film for a few days, or for 2 days. And we constantly picked on him about, you're not going to cry like a little girl, are you? Yeah.
You going to toughen him up?
I don't think anybody can do that.
Too far gone.
I don't think anybody can do that. I'm pretty sure he's not going to bother me with any more of his drones.
I'm gonna guess not. Yeah. I'm gonna guess not.
Pretty sure that ain't going to happen. I tried to make the guy promise not to tell him if I paid it, but he probably told him. They grew up together. They were friends together.
Well, I knew you as soon as you said you shot it, or as soon as I saw you shot it, because I saw you shoot it. I knew you were going to buy him another one. It's only, even if you say you weren't going to do it, it was going to happen.
At that moment, I would not have.
At that moment, but later moments.
I told him. Even one of the other guys said, he's been telling you, man. They didn't want him to. At first I thought they were trying to tick me off to get something of reality.
Maybe they were. Maybe that's their angle.
Didn't really work.
They should have had the cameras ready if that was their angle.
Actually, I guess it did work,
but they didn't film it. So you had to go back up there on top of the van and just take a camera and shoot down, just kind of throw the drone down on top of the van, reenactment. Could have worked.
Yeah, it's kind of lame.
That's part of the fun of it. It's over top. Have you ever watched my videos, Ted? That sounds exactly like the crap I do in my videos. It's like something blows up, I just throw a part on the ground and film it. There it is. Put fake smoke on it or something like that. I
keep thinking about skilled trade up, and I just don't know why he threw that in the trash can.
It wasn't. We did it recently.
I don't understand that.
It's not. It's actually technically not in the trash can.
No,
because we don't do it very often.
You changed it all around, screwed it all up. People.
Oh no, I like that.
Consistency.
I'm not good with consistency. Sorry, no, I'm good with working hard and changing plans.
No, you're too creative.
That's a good way. That's a real positive spin on that. Thank you.
Try to recreate up. Well, it wasn't meant as an insult.
I know, but that is a positive spin on a negative way you could potentially say it. Not that you did or thought.
I didn't say you screwed it all up. I said you threw it in the trash can.
I think you did say I screwed it up. I think that's what you said. Right after that, you said I screwed it up. Added all those guys in there.
I shouldn't have said that.
Well, I mean, it's neither here nor there.
I just thought like bring it back as classic, skilled trade up classic.
Skilled trade up classic.
Some classic version or something. I don't know, man. I just thought it was really awesome.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. The whole idea of changing it up was to get more people involved with it, because it would go on and on and on, and there were just like one guy would be able to play. I wanted more people to be able to play it.
Those last ones actually were better. For whatever reason, I don't know. And another thing is, if you don't have them like right here where you can see them, I mean, they're on Google or something.
Yeah.
So it made it a lot more authentic. I mean, I don't know. I think you just gave like 30% effort on the whole thing after it.
It wasn't a primary focus. That's true.
It wasn't.
And it couldn't be, because it wasn't fruitful enough to be a primary focus. But and in fact, it was more of a detriment as far as finances, because I bought a lot of the stuff.
Got to beat up the sponsors, man.
Well, sponsors gave stuff too. I always, when I'm in the store, or when I try not to do it as much anymore, because typically I try not to spend anything anymore that I don't really have to. It's just I've tried to kind of for what's the word for it? Condition myself to do it like that. It doesn't matter how much money you have, just be smart with your money. And
You do
before I was
realize all that money I spent on prizes was 100% deductible, and none of it came out of my pocket. Right? You do realize that since we're being
you had
all
told me you had good deals. I don't know what good deals meant, but I guess I do now.
I did, but it was 100%, approved by the accountant.
The accountant. Now, who's the accountant? You have a specific accountant, or is that a name for yourself, like
Jake
on the
Jackson
computer?
Company. No,
I got
it's
you. Okay. All
I
right.
hey, dude, I'd be out of business by now if I did my own books.
Well, I just thought you were so wealthy.
Right.
S-mans are raining from the sky. Testo 550s. You've been very good to people over the years about taking part and giving to others. You gave to me early on in Skill Trade Up. I think you donated some stuff. Testo 550s. I think
a couple people gave some stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the best things. There were a few different sources. People just said, "I'm going to send you something to give away." I mean, that's really encouraging. That's really
absolutely.
It's one of those things that whenever you hear something like that, when you get like a really good comment that really strikes a chord with you, it does push you to do better. It really does.
And then of course you're always feeling like, well, I'm not doing good enough for that, so no, I can't take any more of that.
Yeah, and that is the other part of it too.
Getting a little personal. Sorry about that.
It is nothing's off limits here except for some really crazy stuff.
Well, I didn't mean to open your sock drawer and say,
that's nothing like my sock drawer. We shouldn't even go in my sock drawer.
Yeah. Well, notice I didn't say underwear drawer.
Here, let me do that. Let me do this right. We should never go in my sock drawer.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah,
do not go in there.
Under them is, whatever.
Back to the show. Well, I got another question for you, Ted. Look at that. That's a segue right here. That's what we call this in the business.
There you
go. We had a few other questions, and I wrote some myself here. And let me go with, I forget who asked this question. I want to say it was Kangaroo God. It said, "What is your retirement plan?" That's something that you had spoken with me privately about some of your thoughts on what you were going to do. But did you ever come up with a solid plan? You were going to find an apprentice and he was going to rule the world and you were going to retire and sell the world or something like that?
You don't know how depressing that is. I mean, I'm 58, man. How long really can I do this? And I started in 1989. I spent 31 years building this business. I don't want to just sell the phone number and let it get absorbed and just drop, instead of what you may consider a sum of a lot of money now, I'd rather just have a little money forever. So I'd rather somebody that was worthy, that could just keep it where it's at and not destroy it. And that's my retirement. And they don't have to have any money. They don't have to pay me nothing. They just take over, hand it right over. They take right over and pay me till I die. And if I die early or quick, they have to pay my wife till she dies. But regardless, there it is. There's a 30-year business. You can have it. You can make yourself pretty decent living, and you don't have to start from the ground up. I mean, that's basically the simplicity of the plan. But finding, like I say, my oldest son, he's 32, would be a great candidate, but he's a scholar. He's an academic. He's a pastor. No interest in being a mechanic. So I'm just looking for that really good star, service tech that wants to come in and then learn the rest of the business and give me 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And I'll just drop out and say, here you go. Cause I have stuff I want to do. And
what about your guys you have already? Is there no guy that could be that person for you? Is it the lack of business nature that's going to be the deciding factor between your guys and doing it? Because you have people that you obviously trust technically, but they don't have the business mind.
I can teach that, because I'm going to tell you right now, you reach a point, like you need to be able to build a business. But once you get it built, you reach a point to where it needs to leave your hands, and it needs to go to a bookkeeper and an accountant. And basically you just show up to work every day.
Run service calls.
Well,
because you love them.
Well, now to be honest about that, the only reason I run service calls is to make videos.
So if there was no YouTube, you wouldn't do it?
Nope.
Really? And I know you've told me that before, but I feel like there's still an underlying satisfaction with mechanical troubleshooting.
Yeah, but as far as the HVAC stuff goes, man, that ship has sailed. I mean, I get excited about new products. I got really excited when the return of the inverter came back to our industry, because remember, we did it first and we do it better and we do it the best. And that's
hey Ted, I've got a picture I've got a picture of y'all's latest inverter that I made before the show. Do you want to see it?
Probably not, but everybody else does, Zach.
No, so, I mean, I just picture this. This is the train brochure, and this is so stupid. This is what I think is funny. No one else thinks this is funny. Here it is right here for you, Ted, the brand new, because you have the XV 18 and XV 20, right?
Yeah, no, I've never had an 18, but
well, they exist though, correct? There is an XV 18.
Yep.
So this is the XV 21. I created this earlier. This is for you. This is the XV 21 right here. Let's just soak that up for a second. I worked hard on this. Okay, I haven't had that nice brochure type background with the open field that looks very ecologically friendly. I'll leave the silences in, by the way.
Yeah, that's and where Train really screwed up, Zach, is they kept that stupid machine and they stuck it over to the American Standard side. And I'm like, are y'all trying to kill American Standard? Like, they're part of us. They're like the two brothers. And, one went to graduate school and one just went to college. But, we got the development of the Run True. And I'm sure you've seen everybody's videos on those.
They love them. Do you love them?
No. But
well, hold on a second. Why don't you love them? Everybody says, okay, this is what gets me. Everybody says this is a fantastic machine. I don't know what that's based on. The fact that they started it up the first time and it worked, which should be pretty expected no matter what machine you have. So you tell me why you think it's bad.
I didn't say I think it's bad. You asked me if I love them.
Do you think it's good?
Well,
would you sell one?
I have
it that way.
Probably not, but I have a description of my opinion of it, and then I'll tell you why I don't love them. Okay. Number one, my opinion of the Run True is it is a cheap train in a cheap jacket.
Yeah. Then you got a spine fin coil with this really ugly grate around it. You're right.
Dude, it comes out of Tyler. I stood there and looked at them before they would admit what they were. I mean, I went over there and found it, and they tried to get me away from it. I mean, I saw it before it was around, and that's exactly what it is a cheap train in a cheap jacket. It's got a little cheaper fan motor, if you could get any cheaper. And, but it does have the spine fin, and actually most of them have the exact same compressor and just a really cheap jacket. So here's
they are right there. This is the Ameristar version of it.
Yep. That is my, description of it. Now that's the Ameristar. Okay. But now the way they kept the actual true Ameristar that's made by Medea in China is they just changed the name of it to Oxbox. Who thought of that? Really?
The names aren't good, Ted. They're not good.
Who the heck? Run True ain't. I call them Run Rights, and I pick on all the. But anyway, so that's my opinion of what that machine is. It's a cheap train stuck in a cheap jacket with a cheap price. But there's one very simple reason that I don't sell them. I don't sell to myself.
Now, what does that mean? You don't sell to yourself?
Well,
is that what you would buy?
A guy, anytime that's like a famous, not famous is a strong word, but that's like a real trademark thing that I say all the time in supply houses all the time, because forever we're sitting there and somebody on the stool next to you is just fussing and, bitching, for the lack of a better word, about how much a jug of Freon cost or how much, an ECM motor is. And I'd say, well, man, you got to stop selling to yourself. I mean, the market will bear, the customer will buy. As long as everybody has to pay through the nose for R22, then you can just sell it for, a decent price. Don't let this principle eat your mind up. Do the actual math and say, okay, I'm paying X amount for this jug divided by 30, that much per pound. People sell it for $60 and $100 a pound. What are you complaining about?
Right.
That
costs a fraction of that. Yeah.
$3,000, man. What, for a jug? What's your problem? And it's just that you don't want to pay it, but you want to still get the money for it. And, but anyway, the stop selling to yourself things, that just means, I don't sell it to me. So I don't need the cheapest thing that I can possibly find. I need the best thing I can find. So that's why I'm not going to sell them.
Not saying cheap here, but what is the most, and I hate to even say inexpensive, what's the lowest efficiency that you sell?
14 SEER.
What 14s are they? Are they still, what are they called? Are they not XR still, or what are they?
Yeah, XR 14 is a 14 SEER machine. So Trane makes a ridiculous line, in my opinion, and I quote 3. But they make a 14, 15, 16, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. What? Come on, really?
Is the 16 single and 2-stage?
No.
So they're both 2-stage?
The only 2-stage is 17.
Oh, they're both singles. Wow.
Yeah. Well, so you have the XR16, and then you have the XL16, the premium machine.
I got you.
Much like the 18 and the 20, because actually the 18 is a 20 without the plastic top, and maybe 2 more rows of coil not there, just for a tad of refrigerant volume and efficiency,
So you don't sell the 18, you just do the 20? Because why would you just mess with doing 18 then?
I don't even bother. I sell 14, 16i, and 20.
Okay.
And I've had engineers before beat me up and say, well, how much is this? Well, how much is that? And they try to outsmart me. And I've had to quote almost every single bit for them to sit there and pick it apart. And guess what they end up doing? Buying one of the 3. So what I like to say is I've picked the cherries from the tree. You know what I mean? That, my opinion, that's the best value. I'm not a 2-stage guy. I don't,
you don't answer texts in a live stream?
Yeah, I hate to, but
look at this. Look at this guy. He's so dedicated to somebody else somewhere else. It's really nice. It's really inspirational.
Well, the thing is, he had to work really late. He's on his last call, and I appreciate that.
So do you have another service tech then?
Yeah.
Okay. Got to know, at one point you had lost your service tech that had been with you for so long, and you were kind of stuck in limbo doing all of it. So how long have you had a second, or is there more than 2?
No, right now there's just one. He's the one you're talking about passed away, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And this guy that helps me now is just kind of a guy I grew up with that I'm basically forcing him to do it.
How does one force another human to do service calls?
I don't know, man.
Do you give him money weekly in exchange for his work?
Pretty much, but in other words, he doesn't have to. He just wouldn't leave me in the crapper, So he's been waiting on me to find somebody for 1.5 years and helping me out. He don't need no money, and he's out at 9:50, finishing one up.
Oh my gosh, it is 9:50. Look at that. That's wild.
So the other thing, I left one thing out before though, when we were talking about that, only to do service calls, but I've always covered Sundays. So I've always done service calls 1 day a week.
Are you 24 hours? If someone calls you in the middle of the night, are you going out?
Nope.
So what's the cutoff?
There's probably not one. That's kind of like my discretion thing. Like I would go out in the middle of the night if you're sick, elderly, on oxygen, 20 degrees outside or 100 degrees inside. If you have a handicapped child or a handicapped person, if there's some reason for it, I'll go. But if you're a normal, able-bodied human being, you can wrap up with extra blankets, or you can go sit in a mud puddle, whatever. You can wait till in the morning. Now, we probably work till dark, and then whatever it falls after. So if it gets dark and we're not at the last call, we're probably not going to that last call. But if we get there by 9 o'clock, and that's kind of the unstrict, unspoken time, is if you can get to their house by 9. But I'm going to tell you something, man. When it's hot, like 90 and 100 outside, and you have no air, people will welcome you in at midnight to fix it.
Oh, sure. And they'll come up with some compelling stories too. Because you're naming off all those circumstances where you would make an exception, and people will have a nonstop line of exceptions for you, even if they are able-bodied.
I bet you don't know the most common excuse as to why I'm keeping on calling you, why I'm so worried, and you might think it's your sick mother-in-law or your daughter or your child, but the very most common one that I hear the most, you ain't gonna guess it.
The most common compelling story
of why I really need you to come today or right away, or I don't care how late it is. I really, really, really need air.
To me, I'm going back in my mind to all the ones I've gone to at night. To me, the most common one for me, which I'm guessing is not going to be the same for you, it's always young children is the one they give me.
Yeah, they're probably just using that.
The kid's like 17 or something, you know what I'm saying?
And playing video games with no shirt and doesn't care.
And,
yeah. And that's kind of like the guy that always says, well, let me talk to my wife, which actually means let me check some other quotes because I don't have the money, whatever.
Nice knowing you. See ya.
Yeah. But the real most common one that I've heard more than you'll ever imagine is my dog. My dog is old and sick and just can't take the heat. You just would not believe how much I hear that. I'm more worried about my dog than me. Or
what do you say? What do you say to the people?
I mean, I have to be really nice no matter what.
We all got to die sometime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Out of business. Out of business.
I probably don't say that. I have an elderly dog, and I installed a mini split for mine. And then,
you're the guy to call then, Ted. You're the one to call if you have an elderly dog.
In all actuality, I installed the mini split to win the argument over whether the dog could come in the house or not. Yeah, I don't want dogs in the house. That's just not me.
I don't like pets in the house at all, personally.
Well, I have a cat, but cats.
I see the cat Tower of Babel over there. Yeah.
Yeah, cats are pretty clean, but now dog in the house and the smell, I just can't do it, man.
I'm with you. I don't mind having animals. We have animals outside where they belong.
Well, I love animals. She's 12. She's a black lab, lays around outside, whatever. I'm not having that in the house. So the garage with a nice bed in it and all is where she loves to be. And, we put her a little mini split in there. We had her a heated condo at our other house. So we called it a condo.
A dog condo?
Yeah, it was just the underneath side of, the underneath side of a storage room that I took out of and built a bathroom going into the room adjacent inside. And there was like 4 feet of leftover space. And we stuck carpet in it and, created a leak in the duct going to the bathroom above, and voila, there's your conditioned. And then I stuck one of the security cameras. I bought 8, right? And I couldn't come up with a place but to put 7 of them on the house. And I stuck one of the cameras in there, and the kids could watch the dog, right? And then I got creative and said, I'm going to take this baby monitor and I'm going to put it backwards, and I'm going to put the speaker hidden in the dog condo, and we're going to take the mic and we're going to talk to the dog, and watch her look around trying to find you.
You know, there's baby things now. You can't speak to them like walkie talkies.
Well, that's what we have. Oh, you mean two-way?
Just the same way you would normally set it up for a small child. It's what I found because we have a small child again now. Is that there's one you push a little button, you talk to him, lay down in your crib. He's like, what is that? He's like,
Yeah.
Lord, is that you? You know,
we
he doesn't know what's going on.
Sit, roll over. We were doing more of that. And the dog
it's appropriate.
Would actually do every bit of it. And then she'd look around like, where's my treat? What's happening here? So
how do we get on talking about your dog? How did that even happen?
Well, what happened was I was telling you that really is the most common and most pathetic.
Right.
Of why people absolutely have to have.
Go ahead. He's man's out late at night. It's all right. I always enjoy it when somebody's on the show and they have to put their attention on something else just because it's business related, and the sentence just goes.
That's my wife saying I need to come do something, and for some reason she thinks I care.
You do care. You care very deeply.
That door right there is the only way into the basement.
And what happens in the basement, Ted? It sounds very ominous. Like, what's going to happen now?
She tries not to disturb these things and doesn't really want to be part of it.
Yeah, it's pretty typical of the wives. They don't really want to be part of our HVAC fun.
Not a lot.
Which is good, actually, because if they did, I don't know. There's some wives out there, like the guy who was on with me the other day, Rick. His wife comes on the stream with him. My wife came on a stream one time, but we were really just horsing around, having a good time.
Yeah,
What's that?
That was one. I just turned the volume down. Well, that was like the second most fun thing I actually always used to do on your live shows, Zach.
Oh, good grief! What was the first most fun thing, Ted?
She gave you a bunch of crap. In case you don't remember,
I remember vividly.
She went in the chat and stirred and did. Yeah, we all liked that. That was.
It was a lot of fun. Hey, you know what? It's fun for you guys in the moment. It's fun for me in retrospect. So everybody has fun at different times.
Yeah, well, we thought it was funny as.
I know. It was pretty funny.
Oh yeah.
She was every bit of dirt. It's so funny because all these guys on here know each other to a certain degree. Some you know more than others, but none you know completely. But your wife knows you completely.
Oh yeah, and she went light on you. Is what.
Oh, you better believe it. Oh, good grief!
A few shots out and watched everybody laugh, but
you know what that was? That was mercy. That's what she showed me. Mercy.
And I just can't believe you had to ask that last question though.
Which one? What was the last question I asked? What are you talking about?
What happened to your eidetic memory?
I guess it left the building.
You said what was the first most fun?
Oh, the first most fun. Yes, absolutely. Well, yes, by all means, I'm curious what the first most fun thing is. I cannot
believe you don't know that.
I'm sure it's going to come back to me once you start describing it.
Oh, the skilled trade up thing, man.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I thought it was going to be like a moment in time where we just had some kind of funny happening.
Let me tell you, all that thing needed was just more people and more. I've always thought money meant a lot. I've always thought bigger prizes and more money. That's just the way I've always thought. Just it draws them in, man. It sucks them in. They want that. They probably already got an S-man, and they don't have a testo, and they don't have a testo. So you're like, somebody's going to win this testo, and it's like, there they fall.
You're exactly right. You
advertise for a week, and that little picture, and like, they're all over you.
And you know what the funny thing about it is, even when we didn't have something like a testo, it was smaller. The fun part in between the questions, when the question's being asked, the little bit of tension that builds up is so fun. It's so great because you always see a guy's expression and it builds off it because you see a guy, the question's getting read and he's like this because he doesn't have any idea what it is. And then you see guys who are just so confident. It's like, I got this in the bag. And it's so fun to see how they react to being put under just a minute amount of pressure and a little tension. It's a lot of fun.
I really think the hardest part of the skilled trade up and the hardest, the thing that is the toughest, if you're really trying to keep that, you got to admit going on Google and digging out this really hard piece of data, there's just no reality in that. Writing the actual question about real world, real stuff that you and I have actually done, because a lot of those questions you didn't know unless you looked them up, you know?
It's true. There were some hard ones on there. I didn't know them until I looked them up and found them. Yeah.
So to write them that are really real world, and I can't even remember whose show it was where Justin was on there, and me and him got at odds because I think it was part of the overtime.
You got to know that was overtime. Come on.
Yeah.
You do remember that.
Well, at that time, I didn't remember it because I was wrapped up in that memory. But yeah, I do remember that it was that. And and that ended because I criticized it. And he said, well, I ain't doing it anymore then. Well, so I probably didn't deliver the criticism very well. And
it's like a therapy session.
Instead of saying, hey, man, let's get together and let me help, I probably said, dude, that sucked. I probably did something like that.
Well, he's probably listening to this show. I'm not looking at the chat right now, but if you want to do some kind of therapeutic coming back together, you have the floor.
No, we know each other well enough to know that it ain't. No, I don't think he's mad about. No, I'm not mad about nothing. I'm pretty sure he ain't. But
I know him pretty well, and he's not mad at you. I know that because I know him pretty good now.
And we know what happened back then. We were both there, and there he is.
Is that your guy, Greg?
Yeah. So we used to.
Do you need to take a phone call from him? Because I can play like a spot or something for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
We worked together way back in the early 90s and did these new construction jobs like massively, like several a week, and a bunch of them. And they were all Yankees. The builders were Yankees. And they couldn't, they were just so distinctive with we're all Southern boys down here. And they would get on their radio. We had these Nextels. So we let them.
I remember them.
Yeah. We let them on our network, right? Because they were a main account. So they had a radio on our, frequency, whatever you called it back then. Mm-hmm. So they could talk to all of us. And it never failed. They would never say, Central 3 to Central 2. They would never say whatever. Greg, where are you? That's what they would say. Where are you?
That's so funny.
And they would do that constantly. And every one of them, there'd be like 5 different guys. And they would say that same thing. Greg, where are you? So we all started imitating them. And I know a lot of Gregs. I know a lot of Tonys. I know a lot of Marks. And so that's how I know that there's probably 5 Gregs on there in my contacts. And that's how I know him from, Greg.
It's the funny part about that is I have a very similar experience down to the Nextel. It's funny because I remember using those things, and if you weren't right next to it, it would continue beeping. And I remember being in situations where I was in the crawl space and I had like another tool tray outside and the phone was sitting in a tool tray. It just continued to beep, beep, beep. But we had a group, Plantation Builders. It was almost all guys from up north. It is the exact same situation you're talking about. These guys, and it was so funny because there was a couple of them that would just, their way of getting things done was to be as irate and upset all the time as possible. And it was just so humorous because they were so angry so often, it lost all its sting. It didn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah, constantly yelling.
Yeah. And now you just tune it out because it's like, well, that's what he does. I mean,
constantly yelling the whole time, just constantly about everything, just dying and pushing and shoving for that closing. I watched them. I hope I'm not interrupting you, but I seriously watched this happen. And I bet you never seen this. I saw a house go from slab to bushes in the yard, cars in the yard, and people moving furniture in, living there 8 days.
That's impressive. I've never seen that. No.
Days. We were all there at the same time. Plumbers, the plumbing's in the slab for the most part, but as soon as it was framed up, we were all there on the same day. Plumbers, electricians, heating and air, all of us running around. Hey, we were having fun about it. And they were walking around the whole time. Greg, 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 yelling everybody's name, just carrying on the whole
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I'm almost feel like I was there. You guys got to be done today. We need an inspection tomorrow. We need it done and a pass tomorrow.
You were there.
Now, that's exactly how it happens every single time. Why'd you fail inspection? Well, you guys didn't do the thing.
Inspections were that next day. I dropped a pair of dikes, wire cutters, the heavy, good dikes.
Thanks for clearing that up, what you dropped.
In case you wouldn't have known what that was.
Yeah.
And I dropped them down and they landed, the heavy part goes, so they landed nose first. They took a chunk out of the slab like that. I mean, it wasn't even.
What kind of slab is this? Good grief.
Concrete slab, but it was poured like the day before. So the plumbing went in and the slab got poured. Okay. The next day was day 1. On the 8th day, they closed. Evidently somebody told them, if we can have it in this day, we'll buy it. Probably cash or something, whatever. It was a little bitty house. It's called a Princess. It was a little.
A princess?
Yeah, we had king, queen, something else, and a princess was a little bitty thing. I think it was 1,450 square feet. Little rectangle sitting on a slab. I mean, it was very common that they would do kings in less than 30 days. I mean, close it, people moving in. That was very common. That happened all the time. But the record was that 8-day thing.
That's impressive. That's we did a similar project. I remember it's called Beasley Village. They were all slab homes. It wasn't that fast though, but we were expected on a standard model, just me and my brother, to finish it in a day. And it was a full day running duct system and doing the lines and drains and everything like that. It was a long day, but I mean, it was definitely doable. But I don't want to go back there. I mean, you don't do that stuff anymore, do you? You don't do new construction.
I'll do some customs. I'll do some nice ones, with 20 sears and zoning and geothermal or whatever. I'll do some customs for a homeowner that takes the builder's allocation and adds to it and hires, buys train, hires somebody good. But
right.
As far as the track houses and the builders, they're not going to pay me. They're not going to pay us.
Yeah, no,
they'll get it done for half that amount.
I mean, people are making like a few $100 on a job, just doing it as fast as possible.
I don't think they're making that. They just appear to be. They just think they are, but at the end,
you think they just don't understand the costs involved, and it comes back to wash out in the end.
They don't know about soft cost versus hard cost. I mean,
well, define that with all these people watching. Define what you're talking about.
Well, what I mean by hard cost is you buy a unit, you buy some duct, you pay some labor, and you install it. Okay, that's hard cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you spent $2,000 doing it, and you sold it for $3,000, and you think you made $1,000.
Right.
Okay. Well, somebody out of your little entourage is probably licensed. You may even have insurance. I know you have a vehicle of some sort.
I like that. You may have insurance.
Well, our state doesn't require it.
But you have insurance. Everybody that's worth a crap has insurance.
Absolutely. Just $1 million per occurrence things, usually only a couple thousand a year. I think I pay about $2,700 a year, but it used to be cheaper than that. It used to be, $1,500 a year, but regardless.
Yeah. General liability is what you're talking about.
You have some tires because your truck didn't float there. You have a truck.
Yeah.
You have some tools.
You put fuel in it.
You have insurance on that too.
Mm-hmm.
You had to buy some amount of gas and oil. You probably had to eat. You had to wear some clothes.
Getting closer.
Well, that's what I say. All of a sudden, you think you made $1,000 that day, and if you actually have an accountant and a bookkeeper at the end of the year, and you actually pay your fair share of taxes, you didn't make anything.
Right. Right.
So builders love that.
Builders love what? They love ignorant.
For you to make zero and them to make a killing, and then you're hung with the warranty for 10 years or at least 5, and the builder's out of it in 1 year and doesn't have to answer any calls of anything.
Is it possible for an HVAC company that works in that environment to do a good job consistently?
Absolutely. It's possible to do a superb job, but you're likely going to have to do it for free.
And who doing a superb job really? Maybe at the beginning before you understand it, but how long? It won't last. The guy's got to wise up eventually because he has zero money coming in.
You out of business.
Yeah.
Track
or he
house,
just
there's no money, and I'm not into all this racism crap. I'm really not. I ain't into that, man. You're either a good person or you're not.
How did we get from track houses to racism?
Well, because we all know that, illegals, I'm not going to name names, but we all know that there'll be a big band of gypsies. There'll be 8 of them, one that speaks English, and the other 7 are willing to work themselves to death for a very little bit of money. And
Eastern European gypsies, is that what we're talking about?
Some of those too.
The Roma are working for you, the circus people? Okay.
Yeah, some my very, very good friends.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I know that there was plenty of illegals working when I was coming up. I mean, there was a ton of them, because periodically they would all disappear whenever there was a threat of recognition, and then they would all come back, and we actually got along really well. I would obviously prefer people would do things legally. I think it's better for them in the long run, but I mean, we had relationships with these people, so you get to know everybody.
I want them here. I don't have a problem with Mexicans, gypsies, Hondurans, wherever they are. I want them here. I'm fine with that. I don't want them illegally here, and 8 of them to live in a 1-bedroom apartment and send 50% of their money out of the country and none of it's taxed. I don't want that.
Which is exactly what happens. Yeah,
it is what happens. But I want them here, and we can't compete with that. Now, to be honest, a lot of their work is better than ours. There's no way I'd hire a white boy to get on my roof and put shingles on. I just would not do it.
Ted, you know what? What's funny about that statement right there is someone would hear that statement and go, "Is that racist or not?"
Or is it reverse?
That's where we are. I don't know. I don't know what that is, but I know that when people say stuff like that nowadays, it gets them in a lot of trouble because people don't sound out their words any longer. They hear certain words put together and they say, "This is what happened. This is what this means." They don't listen to what you're saying any longer. They don't listen to the content.
Because they sit there and look to pick. He said he don't like white boys, and I didn't say that.
But he is a white boy. This is confusing.
I just said, if I need a roof done, I need it done in 1 day, not 3. I need a fair price, not an inflated price. And the bottom line is, a lot of them are illegals, but they have the work ethic, and they just physically can do stuff we just can't do, man.
I agree. The number one problem I have with illegal immigrants is that I can't tell them that we need one spot at the T-pole to plug in a circular saw, because no one understands what I'm saying. No, that was my one problem.
The one problem I have, and it is way too difficult at our ages to learn their language. And I just so desperately want to know what they're saying.
I feel the same way. When we were coming up in school, Spanish was very popular. I took Spanish for 2 years, was a complete idiot those 2 years, and horsed around the whole time. I mean, like, the teacher hated me, called me a bad influence on other students. That is a quote. And I know no Spanish at all whatsoever.
The ones that did good don't know it. The ones that did great still don't know it today. I mean, my daughter was a straight up, never made a B in her life, and took 2 years of Spanish and doesn't know ding dong about it now. It's very difficult, or at least for me.
It's hard for me. I mean, I can't do it any longer. I think when you're young, that part of your brain is ready for information. Once you hit 25, 30 years old, it's closed for business. What you got's what you got.
Yeah, it pretty much looks like that to me too. And I just really would love to speak their language.
Yeah.
I just really would. And I'd like for them to be legal. I think one thing, and I certainly don't want to enter the political realm, but I think one thing is it is too tough for them to get here legally. It's way too tough, and it would be way too few to satisfy them. Now, I'm afraid we can't take everybody, but
Right.
I think it is a bit too tough. And
Well, they left some big holes in the wall now, so it's easier.
well, you know, I just think it should have to be done legally and not just poured in. But I'll tell you this: I don't know that a good idea might not be if you can speak fluent English, you can walk in. If you can't speak,
Oh,
well, that just shows some effort, man. That really shows. Listen, carefully now. Fluent English. If you can speak fluent English, and you're not a criminal,
yeah,
you can walk right in.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that'd weed out a lot, and that'd put some work to, because look, all they need is guidance, man. They're willing to do the work. I'll just tell you that they work very hard,
Oh, yeah.
and that's
I mean,
what a lot of people have. A lot of people have problems with them because they take all our jobs, so to speak. And yeah, I don't know about that.
you know what? I think they take the jobs of lazy people that were here already, is what I
Pretty
think.
much.
I've never had a problem, keeping my, you know, businesses in order. I mean, there was times when the economy went down. There was times when we had trouble here at the house with health stuff. But as long as I was willing to work, we've been all right. So I think that's the thing. Or if you're willing to work, I think you're 100% going to be all right, unless you have just some kind of outlandish situation.
Uh-oh.
What
There's
happened?
fake Joe in the chat, and for once, Joe can see my hands, and I'm not going to get credited for it.
Hey, look at that. The whole system's falling apart now because wait, is that who you were texting? Someone to create that account?
Yeah,
That's
I
probably
said,
what happened. That's probably
hey
what
man,
happened.
make a Joe account for me. Oh Lord, look what he said.
Put me on speaker. Spacker.
Did he say Spacker?
Put me
He
on
did.
Spacker.
He did. He can't even spell.
3 Gregs. That's
Greg,
a lot of
Greg.
Gregs.
I told him I was on a podcast, and that's why I was like bit and piecing him. And he said, "Yeah, put me on speaker."
Spacker.
Yeah, he tries to have fun every single minute of his life.
How does he go about doing that? Because maybe we can learn something.
Just like he just said there, that was he just tries to, no matter what. Like if we were on each side of the trunk line, like we were talking about before, handing tools back and forth, he's going to have to at least once hand you the wrong tool, something. He's going to have to wipe it in the mud and hand it to you, or something. He's going to have to do something.
That's important. That's an important thing to do. I remember doing that in the crawl space, just having some of the conversation. I can still remember some of them. A lot of them were inappropriate back then, but the conversations we'd have a good time. We'd laugh. Time would go a lot faster when you had like 2 or 3 guys putting the trunk duct and doing the runouts and stuff. It always was a lot more fun.
Yeah, I put a lot of thought into that kind of stuff. I wrapped up a snake skin that I had found and put it in the screw tub.
Oh my gosh.
And stuck it in there. And I waited like days and carried that thing around waiting for somebody to, say you got any screws. Back, I was an installer. I was doing rough ends and just carried that thing around in my tray for like days trying to get nobody to see it and whatever. And yeah, that was really stupid. It was just a skin.
I don't know. There's a lot of stupid stuff I think of. We had a contractor, commercial jobs, and he was a contractor out there from the same company. He wasn't from up north. He was from down here. But whenever you would be up working in one of these apartments they were roughing in, he would go and dig out all your tires so your vehicles would get stuck in the sand that was outside. That's how he spent his day. And he was like the foreman of the job.
Oh,
so
man.
he was nuts. I think he had some personal problems he was wrestling with, but it provided some entertainment. That and the panduits on the drive shaft. There's a lot of that.
There's nothing better than that. I perfected that one. I learned to put it on there and then wrap it around itself and take a piece of duct tape and lay it on there to where it didn't start right away. And you'd be down the road a good bit before the tape would give way and then the tail would sling off.
Well, that is pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
you guys take notes of that one. That's pretty good to have a time delay on your Panduit prank. That's pretty good.
I perfected that one.
I'll give that to you. That sounds pretty
Yeah,
good.
that deal right there is what made me and the original Jimmy have to start locking our trucks around each other at all times on the job.
A little bit of paranoia comes with that.
No, a little bit of tired of it, and nobody's going to cave in, and nobody's going to give in. I mean, honestly, to this day, I really wish I never started the Jimmy crap, because it's never went away. It's still. I just thought that'd be funny one day, just come to work and call him Jimmy all day, just seriously, as if that was his name. Just
now, what is his name?
Steve.
Steve, that's what I thought. Okay, I couldn't remember for sure.
It was a stupid thing, and it absolutely, it's like, no, you quit first. No, you quit first. And I mean, it just won't go away. It can't stop.
Another good time in retrospect right there.
I guess you could say that.
All right, Ted, I know we're getting long in the tooth here, but there's a couple more things I want to ask you before we're done. One, while you're talking earlier, we're talking about different units you sell. Do you do all the selling?
Absolutely.
Okay, so whenever someone runs into something like the other technician, if he's doing something, do you call out there and go out there and look at it?
I won't go look, but I'll get some data from him, maybe pictures, maybe whatever. If it's not, if it's a sales call that comes directly in, I'm the one that goes and I'm the one that quotes it. But if he sees something that he needs to, condemn, like if it's a compressor or whatever, then he immediately, offers them to discuss it with me and get a price. He doesn't sell. Nobody sells but me. I think that's the biggest mistake in the HVAC business is to let a tech of any sort have to do any type of selling.
Why is it a mistake?
Well, number one, I'm not going to give them any kind of commission for it. And number two, if you do, then they lose all objectivity I would come closer to giving commission for successful, bonuses for successful repairs than I would for upsells or any of that. I mean, I get a lot of business out from under these big box companies because the tech comes, these people, look, they're already having a bad day, right? Because their air's broken. So this ain't the best time to, oh yeah, you want to sit through a presentation about a timeshare? It's just not the best time. That's a
good comparison.
Yeah. And so they say, well, ma'am, this repair is $413 today with this motor replacement I just did. But if you'll sign up for either the silver or platinum, service contract to have us come out twice a year, we lower this repair to $213. And you only pay $399 a year for the service, but you do have to pay that up front, and we'll come back twice a year. And the people are like, well, wait a minute. I called you to come do a repair, and now you're going to charge me double unless I call you now to come back twice ahead. It makes no sense to me at all. And you'd be surprised how many people actually get sucked into the service contract where a guy comes out to your yard and walks around with a clipboard and acts like he does something. I mean, there's just not that much to do anymore. Cleaning the outdoor coil is huge. Checking, and testing a few things can certainly be worthy of doing. And you may find a weak capacitor and head off a problem for somebody or something. But honestly, to make a big deal of it and to charge so much, I don't know, man. If they ask me for it, we have those plans. We absolutely do. But for me to push that on somebody, and that's a real common thing. And so if they're already broken down, they weren't expecting it, here's this $400 repair. I want that to be as least painful for you as possible. And I'm going to leave. I'm not going to do anything you didn't ask me to do. And guess what? You'll probably call me back.
Yeah, I would prefer that type of interaction myself. That's why it's always been so hard for me to come up with and formulate plans for maintenance, because personally, I don't typically go for like if people want to sell me extended warranties, things of that nature. Something I would equate with our version maintenance. I'm not really that kind of guy. I'm not. So it's always been difficult to try to sell that.
Do you go back far enough to where we used to oil fan and blower motors?
I have oiled motors. I had Zoom spout and oiled motors before.
They had ports specifically for that. I like these guys we see that they think the plug you take out to let the condensation drip out of the motor, they think that top one is to put oil in and put it
I would love to see that guy in action on YouTube. That would be fun.
I did. I can't remember
for real?
who that was. Yeah, it wasn't Fritz, but it was somebody.
That's awful specific. It wasn't Fritz, because if you were thinking Fritz, that's not right.
It's somebody way dumber than him.
Good grief, that was brutal. Oh, Fritz.
I don't really know Fritz, but
I don't know if Fritz is even around anymore. I'm pretty sure he's not watching this.
I think his last tooth fell out, and he kind of quit getting in front of the camera.
It feels like Fritz owes you money. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, I never met him, but anyway, we don't tighten belts anymore. We really, honestly, unless it's a propane furnace or unless something's bad wrong, we really don't have to clean burners anymore. We don't have that long rack that we slide out and brush and tap a big pile of, sediment out of, whatever. It's just not I'm not going to say maintenance free by any means, but it's not as big of a deal as it used to be. It's not as deadly important as it used to be.
And you think it's not as big of a deal as people make it out to be then too?
Well, that's actually, thanks for helping me with the words I was searching for. That's the thing. It's just not that big, and it's a way to get your foot in the door. And I'll tell you what, the way I'm going to try to get my foot in the door is I'm just going to be fair and honest with you, and hopefully you remember me, That's just what
that makes a lot of sense right there. You know who you sound like? To me, it sounds a lot like our buddy Joe Shear, which I know personally, but that's exactly what he does. He doesn't have all the bells and whistles. He just does honest work and gets paid for it.
And goes 10 times overboard.
10 times. He does do a lot of testing. That's for sure.
He does. And he's really overboard. Like he'll do an install, and if there's something not symmetric that has no mechanical, it has to look good, as if he wanted to take a picture of it for a sales brochure, or he's not going to do it. That's how he is.
That is
so. You know how the Yankees overdo everything that has to do with piping. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Are you talking about some of these boiler art pieces that you see online?
They're obsessed with piping. Ductwork every single piece has to be rigid. Doesn't matter that it doesn't flow worth of crap. Has to be rectangle, then it has to be round. Absolutely not 1 inch of flex anywhere in the house. They're just obsessed with overdoing things. They really are. And I used to say it, but Joe never listened. I said, man, Joe would have made a good Yankee, because he is really over the top. But I'll tell you what, nobody will go to one of his jobs and say, man, that doesn't look good.
You brought it back at the end, Ted. That was good.
Nobody's going to. Joe doesn't mind me cracking on him. He has not assigned any of his self-worth to my opinion. I'm pretty sure.
So far, that sounds accurate so far, yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he hasn't. And so, but, you'll never walk up to one of his installs and say, man, he did that in a hurry.
You definitely won't say that. So, I've seen his work. He does a really, really, really good job.
But it's like a brochure. It's just like something you want to put. A manufacturer wants to put it on his brochure. And come on, is that really real? Do you do yours that way? Have you always done every job you did like that?
You've seen the videos, Ted. What do you think?
I just wanted to make you say it.
Well, I'd like to hear you say it, actually. When you see it, what do you see? Do you see something? Well, there's a lot of flex, so I guess we have to say no.
I wouldn't say a lot of flex.
There's not. I mean, I'm probably somewhere stuck in between you two as far as that's concerned. It may not be perfect, but I do like it to look good, because my dad would tell me that all the time. That was his line. If it looks good, it probably works good. if someone put the time in to make it look good, then probably they put time into design and testing phase as well.
And whether it works good or not, if it looks like crap, it looks like crap.
That's absolutely true. But a lot of time it also works like crap.
Period. I mean, no matter how well it works, if it looks like, So I don't know how we got hung up on Joe, but anyway, sorry.
Joe's great. Joe's great.
Sorry, Joe.
There was one more question, and that question was from one of the commenters. I don't remember who it was, but I think they were just looking for advice for a new company owner. Maybe maybe a couple tips on how they can be successful. If you can condense that into, that's a big topic right there. But you know what I'm saying? Is there a couple things you could think of off the top of your head that you would tell somebody that wants to make a career out of it?
I don't know. Call Tersh.
Call a different guy.
I don't want to take a shot.
Well, you've been around for a long time. What have you done here? What did you start doing that you changed then because you wanted to work better as far as business?
I have these really, really, really simple plans for business, real simple. Show up. That's a pretty good one. Be surprised how many people don't.
I'm absolutely with you on that. Yeah.
If you're saying you're show up. Even if you call to break it, that's still not good. Show up. Don't overbook yourself. Show up, period. Let that be a blanket. Show up. Number 2, do the best job you can as the applicable nature, deserves. You don't have to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, but you absolutely don't need to make a sow's ear out of a silk purse. You get that. Do the best job. Number 3, don't rob anybody. Don't rip anybody off. Work for a fair price. And, just be honest,
You're not going to make it in one day.
No, don't try to. You're not going to make it on one job, and if you apply those few little things, they will tell their neighbor. And then that neighbor, it's like Amway, the pyramid. It actually,
I remember.
This actually works. Amway only worked in the 70s. They call it networking now, and it doesn't work. That's all silly pyramid stuff. But, in the 70s, Amway was actually good products, and that the demonstration, man, you would buy the stuff, But anyway, those 3 little things, and kind of there's some in-depth, things, but those are the top of the tree there. Just show up, don't rob anybody, and you can add little things to that. Do what you say you're going to do.
No, that's good. That's really good.
And don't become a salesman when the people called a serviceman. If they want a salesperson, they'll call and ask for one. If they called you for service and they're broken down, don't try to sell them something. If they need it, that's different. If the thermostat's hanging sideways off the wall, would you like me to fix that? Sure. But don't try to sell them a bunch of unrelated, plans, items, air cleaners. If they want to know about improving the air quality, they will ask you. Because if I took my camera and shined it down in the duct systems or up past, anywhere, or actually showed somebody pictures of their coils. I mean, what do coils look like in 5 to 10 years? Even if they don't leak, they look pretty bad.
Oh, sure.
Actually, nowadays, they look pretty good because they're all aluminum and all,
Yeah, that's true.
But regardless, just don't try to oversell. Be real careful with the upsell thing. Let them kind of ask and quit trying to, what it does is you appear desperate. And
yeah,
I don't even follow up on quotes. I really don't. I don't even pester them. I do a good looking quote. And I think you should be thorough. And when somebody asks you for a quote, and if you have to go there and look, that's fine. You give them a verbal quote. Would you like for me to put that in writing and send it to your email? Do that thoroughly. Make it simple but hugely informative. Add a few links that takes them to look at, make a real professional presentation out of it that's non-invasive. It doesn't include you standing in there, well, I suggest this and for this amount, and I really believe you need, and this would be so great for you, and this will save you money and blah. And it's, by the time you get any of that, it's like, how long is it until this guy leaves?
That's funny because you obviously have been in the business. You've obviously been successful enough. You're still doing it, which is the threshold for success we're going to put on this business right now. So all these other voices out there, and I'm not going to mention who they are. There's a ton of them out there. Sales minds say the exact opposite. You sit down at the table. You're going to be there till they make a decision. You're gonna keep going through there, and you're going to what is the word that makes my skin crawl? Overcome objections. Makes me want to vomit. But it is the opposite of what you're saying, though. I mean, I'm with you, but there's a lot of people saying the opposite thing.
And that most times will be the last time you're ever invited to that table.
Those people are very successful. But I don't know. Okay, let me preface that. These people are very successful, but I don't know if that's the same customer twice. Well,
I've got quite a lot of those around here, and I bet you I do more and advertise less.
Yeah. You think they got to keep stoking the fire because of the way they do things?
I mean, yeah, now there again, there's an awful lot of, you got to control your overhead. You got to realize, you just can't watch somebody else and try to, you're going to have to gain some experience. But I still believe keeping those, let the growth happen. Don't try to force it. Don't sit there and dream of that second and third and fourth truck. Don't sit there and say, well, I got to figure out a way to, it's just not going to happen that way. Let that come to you, to where you all of a sudden you need another tech or an installer in a separate truck with a helper. I started out me and a helper, right? That was that. Rode around, we did an install, dropped him off, rode around, did service calls at night. Now, granted, I was in my 20s and I could handle it, but that's where you start. And I really wanted that second truck. Did not want the third one, did not want the fourth one, did not want the fifth one. So that growth thing really should be something you're fighting. You should want growth of efficiency, growth of profit, growth of quality. Those should be the things you're trying to, impose growth on yourself. And if things are going right for you and you're doing the service business right, the growth will come upon you and you'll have to fight it off. That's what I've always done.
Yeah,
more than one way to skin a cat, right?
Well, I think if you're trying to force the issue as far as you're trying to make yourself go somewhere you're not ready to go yet, you will have to sacrifice something else to get there.
Absolutely, you will. And
I think quality is number one.
Immediately. And you're also not ready to be there. See, it's uncharted ground. It's new ground to you. Whereas if the growth is forced on you, I had to put on a guy because, and it was the right time. Joe says it sounds like dating. Where would we be without Joe, man?
Joe's the best. I really do like Joe.
He is one of the good ones. I'll say that.
I agree with you.
I'm allowed to be mad at him. So, I think I made him mad a time or two, but I paid him back and got mad at him.
Well, isn't that what life is all about? The people you can't get mad at. We talked about this earlier. The people you can't go back and forth with every now and then, you don't even really know them. It's not important. There's no contact there.
No, it's all fake because there's no perfect human beings out here. So, if you got a friend you never been mad at that never made you mad, that ain't much of a friend.
Yeah.
You hadn't interacted much. They've been at arm's distance forever.
I heard this before. I've never argued with my girlfriend before. Okay. It's meant to be. All right. Meanwhile, next week, we broke up, man. She didn't like my shorts. Something.
Some people say things that aren't completely true.
There's a shocker. Yeah, hey, I think we're on the home of that. It's called YouTube.
That's what some people say. Who is Corey?
Darrow?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think that's a new name in the chat, which any new names out there, appreciate you showing up. Definitely some new fake names too. You're welcome too. As I like to say to all the trolls that show up, let's have a good time together. You took all this work to make this account. Let's enjoy ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, too much attention and getting all mad at them is probably what's the Lav used to say, don't feed the trolls.
Don't feed the trolls. That's right. Our trolls have been actually, I hate the name troll's not even right because they're just people who made fake accounts and they have a good time. They're not attacking anybody. They were doing it the other day. It's just they're horsing around, giving people trouble. But the little soft kind of trouble.
Did you saw? I just now, Joe had many fake accounts here.
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't know why I didn't pay attention. So how long's that name been in there?
I think he's been here most of the time, I want to say.
So you don't have any narrators or anything anymore?
I think Beaver is one, actually.
What do you call him? Yeah,
I think Beaver's the only one.
He's probably not going to play their game.
He doesn't. The other day when they were begging to have people ejected that were upsetting them, he said no. And he rightly said no because it wasn't even that bad.
Yeah.
It's all right.
That's not stupid.
That's right. Everybody go through their Lav quotes now. Get your Lav soundboard on Android or whatever that thing was. It was great.
So
he had it on the show.
Did we have any? Did we have any people in here? I never turned on YouTube. Did you notice?
Did we have any people? Like how many?
Yeah. Did you see any? I mean, did we at least get 20 people on? Or
there are 80 people, so we did better than 20. So that was good.
There were 80 now still?
There's 80 right now.
That's pretty good.
It's the best I've done in a long time. It must be you, Ted.
I don't know about that, but
I know it's Ted. It's Ted. Let me go ahead and take the doubt out. Right. It's you.
Yeah. I don't know. I see all these names that we always see here in the chats, and that's why I was wondering if we.
I really meant it earlier when I said that we got a good bunch of guys. And I know a lot of the other shows, they do more people and they have more people watching. I wouldn't trade it for nothing because these people that watch, they're really great and they're really good people. And they watch a lot of the shows. They even watch the Bible study show, which I know they're good people. So really good.
You've asked a lot of, handful of questions. Oh, Lord. Teddy, Tedy. They don't even know how to spell Teddy.
You never know. It could be a different variation of Teddy.
Tedy. Well, anyway. So I have a question, Zach.
We don't typically allow this. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Oh, you think I was going to ask about the? Yeah.
No. I'm pretty open book. Unless you ask something strange I haven't thought of, I don't really care. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm not that imaginative. I'm really not. You're the creative one.
I feel so safe.
So, do you think that it's just me obsessed over the skilled trade up? I mean, do you think like I'm totally on another planet by thinking this could be some big deal on YouTube and everybody could, and you threw it in the trade, you just didn't have the time or didn't put the time or didn't like it, or do you have a short attention span? I mean, what, is it me or what? What's your opinion of that?
Well, some of the things you said are correct about the effort put into it, because like I said, it wasn't a primary effort and it could have been done. I thought I did it well. I thought as far as me hosting it, I thought I did it well. And I'm not trying to speak highly of myself, but I thought it went well when I did it.
It was formatted well. I'll give you that, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Several different variations of it, but formatted really good. But I mean, as far as the, do you think anybody besides me shares that big vision of grandeur that man, that could really be a big deal?
There's been a few people that expressed that they really enjoyed it, and most of them were people who played it that really enjoyed the format and liked the way it was set up. But I wouldn't call it overwhelming by any stretch of the imagination. So I think you're in a group of a few people that really, really like that particular show. I think in general, I think they'd rather have something like we're doing right now, or even just, this is all down the line from service call videos. Service call videos is always forever number one.
I think you're right about that. I think that really is the most of what the majority of our people really want to see in the community. They just really want to
Absolutely.
see what you're running into, and no matter
These
how
guys are learning the
creative you
stuff
get.
from us. They're
Well,
learning stuff from the people on there.
yeah, there's some of that too. But even the guys that really know it well, they still watch it. They're
That's
like,
true.
man, I had a long, sucky day of attics and crawl spaces, so I'm going to go home and I'm going to watch some more. It's just,
Yeah. Well, and don't discount the fact that there's personalities involved with this stuff too. Like you mentioned, Steve Labb. There's no greater example of this than Steve Labb.
oh my God.
Yourself is in this group, whether you want to say so or not. Yourself is in this group. Like NorCal, who's just a very specific and interesting type of person, and it's just as much the person and the stuff they're running into. So it's a best of both worlds. You put those together. It's
That
always
was,
going to be number one.
he's that guy you had on 2 or 3 weeks ago or something.
Which guy? What are you talking about?
NorCal.
Yeah, Dave. He was on last week or the week before.
And he was like, let's party.
He's
Like that.
California. He's the California guy. He was heading down to Mexico on his motorcycle as we speak. He's probably there now. I think he's there already. But
Yeah. So I never watched that guy till then.
he's really good. I mean, he's a
And
really smart guy too.
this dude's a trip, man. I got to start tuning in.
Yeah,
So,
you really should watch him. If you're watching other people, there's just
yeah.
so many personalities out there now. And now there's tons of people doing this. I mean, I don't know how many are making service call videos, but it's everywhere.
Yeah, every now and then I'll stumble across a new one that I haven't seen, and then you don't see anything out of them for. So I'm just careful with my subscriptions, as far as who I subscribe to.
Yeah.
If it's not something that. So anyway, I'm hoping to be back in the video game here in 2 to 3 weeks, because
Okay.
I'm just so absorbed. I am going to put a video out maybe in the next night or two that shows the progress of the new facility, and everybody will see. That's what I've been so absorbed with, is managing the contractors and trying to do some of it myself.
I think you need to do that because I think
Yeah.
these people have stake, and it's strange to say, but it's like any other TV show. They have a stake in your day to day. They're interested. They get involved and they get kind of invested. Not to put you on some sort of pedestal, just because it's all part of the package that they like watching. So if you update them and say, this is the new place we have here, this is the new truck I got, they want to see that as much for you as just for the actual situation that you're in.
Yeah. And plus, I'm hoping that that'll hold off some amount of, because anytime you go for a period of weeks without making a video, you lose some attention of some people, and you can gain it back, but you can lose a little bit. You have to be consistent. I've learned that even if it's just once a week, put one up every once. Consistency is something that'll just win you, a little something in this world. Now, Roger G is a local guy to me. He rides around. He'll stop in every now and then. You see him in the chat. And I thought that was an interesting question he brought up. You remember Brad in Myrtle Beach?
Yep, I sure do.
What was that name?
Brad Hicks.
Yeah, South Carolina something. What was
HVAC in South Carolina?
Yeah. So he was fun. His videos were fun. And that new guy, I watch him. Let's do some work. What's that guy's name?
Zack Psioda, the quality HVACR. He was on the show a few weeks ago as well.
I saw that, and everybody's got their little signature. Steve's got what, 10 of them? So
yeah,
coffee mugs and shirts. I mean, Steve's got a bunch, and trust me, all he's doing is being himself. He ain't making up any of that.
I don't doubt that at all.
You remember the old saying, you can't make this stuff up. You couldn't make up Steve Labb, but that guy Zach, let's do some work. And he's got that little signature thing of, he comes on, here's what we got, here's where we're at today, let's do some work, and
catchphrase, real important. Catchphrase goes back.
He just doesn't, he's young enough to still be that do everything guy.
Yeah, that's
I don't-
essentially what he's. I think he's mid-30s.
Yeah, well, that'll burn down. So he needs to start getting him some guys.
He's got 5 years left of that.
He's, about 40. It starts to tip that hill, and yeah, it goes fast. And he's a lot of fun to watch. But
Yeah, there's really a lot of good ones out there now. When I first came on, there's less than 10 of them, and half of those guys aren't even around anymore. And now it's just, if you want that sort of thing, you have an endless amount of it to watch. Just you got to decide what you're gonna watch, because a lot of them, like I know you'll do it, and some of the other guys will do it. They'll have like a video that's like 20-30 minutes long, and there's X amount of those you can watch in a day. So
I try not to. I mean, I try to work really hard but the more I cut out, the more I get accused of not tightening that union or not, and then I finally realized, wait a minute, they can't comment on my video without being on my video. So I don't care what you say, comment all you want. You can say, hey man, you didn't tighten that. I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to stop that. And I may even answer a couple of them.
Oh man,
it took a while for some of those things. You didn't teach me all that much, Zach. I mean, I had to just dig it out of watching you. You didn't offer me, you could have told me a long time ago, just let them comment, because they can't comment without opening your video. That's a view.
it's true.
That's a click. And
Yeah,
but
that's
I
right.
do still, I don't know what you do, but and you've slowed down on the service stuff, but I do still keep it to where unless you're on a list, I have to approve your comment. I do still keep the.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
I know a few people who do that, because sometimes you do get some pretty bad stuff, and a lot of it's just random stuff.
I don't want the talking about somebody else or disrespect, and I really don't want the foul language.
I can understand that. I do block those, so
Yeah.
they will show up on the screen. So I have to approve those, and I'll just if it's really over the top, I delete them.
And if there's 2 or 3 of those from the same guy, I pretty much hide him from the channel.
Yeah.
And
I think it's the best thing, just for the other people's benefit, really.
So there's a lot of work, but I like the guys that say first comment.
I know. I see those guys too.
I'll dig through and I'll make sure not to approve that one first, just to make them keep trying.
It's funny. Yeah. That sounds like some crap I do.
But I really appreciate you having me on, man. Nobody else has me on.
Ted, that's so sad sounding.
Well, I was trying to think of who I could pick on.
That's so funny.
But
man, nobody will have Ted on. I can't believe that's true. That's
terrible.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I feel like the wounded duck.
You know what, Ted? You can go on a show and not give away thousands of dollars worth of stuff, and it's still worthwhile. You know that, right?
So because I quit doing that, they don't do that? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying you don't need that, is what I'm saying.
Well, then it's going to be boring. What are we going to do?
They're going to talk to you. That's what we've been doing this whole time. 84 people say this is not boring, either because they clicked on the wrong thing and left the room to go eat, or because they actually are interested in this.
And the bad thing is, Zach, 60%, at least 51% of this time we've been on here, I've been thinking, skilled trade up.
That's okay. I mean, I really think you should take the idea and run with it.
Yeah, man, I ain't doing that. I ain't got time to do that.
And therein lies the problem.
Yeah, I want somebody else to do all the hard work and the hours of devotion and preparation. And I want to be the Monday morning quarterback that says, "Hey, man, this was all right. Yeah, look, here's one of these."
Yeah, that's a tough part about it. And I don't know, maybe there'll be somebody either listening to this or watching this that doesn't know what we're talking about. Skilled Trade Up's a trivia show for HVAC that I created. And what the frustrating part is, you'll spend countless hours seeking out questions that are both fair and correctly worded, so they're not tricky sounding, because I'm coming up with them. And you'll get to the show, everything will be put together. I'll be hitting buttons to play music at certain times, trying to do everything perfectly, and I'll have misspelled words on the stupid cards or something like that. And it's a frustration. Or somebody will say, "I don't think that question is very fair sounding," and it's just, you get some of that, and it's exactly a lot of work.
Right.
It's tough. It's tough.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do. It happened more than once, for sure.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Oh, I do remember that. Okay, I do remember that.
Little sound bite.
That's exactly right.
You'd sit there and wait for and I'll show you the one that I just been dying to whip out, and no pun intended, just haven't had the opportunity.
That's nice.
Yeah. Don't watch Big Bang, do you?
The Big Bang, the show?
Yeah,
No.
Big Bang Theory.
I guess what is the alternative? The show or the actual event at the start of time?
Have you
Yeah.
ever watched it?
I have watched it before because oddly enough, my mother loves the show because she says Jim Parsons is hilarious. The guy, I guess, who plays, was it Sheldon?
Yeah.
And but I've only seen it a couple of times. But I thought it was funny. I just never got into it.
Well, that's where the whip thing came from.
Oh, and the
I'm
only
just
thing.
dying to wait someday to get to use it. I never have.
Well, I'm glad you got to use it on the show. You know, ill-timed as it was, it's fine.
Did do that. That's exactly right. But you had a few of those that were pretty good. But I'm thinking maybe, and overall, it actually was hours of work.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's like anything else. I mean, you can do something pretty good and spend a little bit of time on it, but to do something you can be proud of, you got to spend a lot of time on it. And it's relentless, and the quality you must keep is not changing, so you can't falter. So it's just like anything else, and we apply that to our regular jobs out there and everything. So you're doing multiple things in life, trying to keep this high level of quality, and it's just you're not capable of doing it because stuff gets in the way.
I don't know that there's a way to make it pay, really. That would be tough.
You know, the only thing I can come up with to really try to formulate this in a way that I think it'll work, at least if I was doing it still, was to do it infrequently so that I could slowly build up and make sure everything was perfect instead of doing it, because I used to do it once a week and then I do it every couple of weeks. So I could see doing like a quarterly thing, but it's not going to build up in popularity being infrequent though.
No, it's
That's
got to
the
be
issue.
once a week. Yeah, it would have to be a weekly thing. And I don't know. I just, like I say, I don't think I'm objective. I think I really, really, really liked it. And that makes me not an objective part of the decision making audience type. I just
Well,
really liked it. I thought it was awesome in its early stages. And that last, you know, few bouts of it where you had four guys and then all of a sudden there'd be three, then there'd be, you watch Forged in Fire or something and figured out, hey, I can use some of that and do an elimination thing.
mm-hmm.
I thought that was really good. I thought that was pretty cool.
It's a lot of fun to do. It really is. As much work as it is, it's a lot of fun to host. I enjoy it. I feel like that's suited for me doing that sort of thing. So
if I could do the questions, I'd be pushing the issue. If I could, I'd be trying to buy it from you or something. If I could do the questions, but that to me is the hardest part. If you go back and watch those first few that were ever in existence before you ran out of data, those were actual didn't you think them up for a while?
I did. I thought of those because, as you recall, or maybe you don't, I'm not sure. Those skilled trade ups were the second half of our Shop Talk live shows, or that we'd stick them in there because it'd be like myself and Greaves at that time would do them. So
yeah, they were awesome, and it was real, but I just don't think I could come up with the data, and I don't think it's ever going to be popular. Being generic, I don't think it's ever going to. It has to have your personality in it. You have to be the game show host or the game show guy. It has to have, some of the influence from all the people. It has to be, to really grow, to really be popular. It has to be almost targeted at the audience. The questions and those hard ones like that. It just became like a board game you bought out of a box, and it wasn't actually, so unfortunately, it was a great idea and it's really tough I think that's just what I think is the hard part is that.
You're right. And it's as difficult as, since I was thinking up the questions on large part by myself, I have to try to also take into account what are people's levels in relation to me. Because certain people are much better at certain things than I am, but yet I'm better than others at other things. So it's always like a subjective scale that I had to use to see how hard a question was. For example, I might ask a refrigerant question, which I feel like I'm very good at, and it just comes off as super hard. But then I think of something like maybe, let's say boiler heating or something you're a fan of, boiler heating, and I'll ask a totally rudimentary question that I think is great, but it's really, really easy. So, and like RJ saying, people have to win a lot, so you have to have that constant influx of stuff for them to win. You have to have that stuff all the time, especially if you're doing it once a week.
I
and you have
think you have
multiple
to win the first couple of levels on a constant basis, and that big S man in the sky, has to be kind of special.
Right. Like it's a carnival and you always get a tiny teddy bear, but you want that giant thing at the top of the shelf.
And when somebody wins one, it really makes you want to win. So, I mean, you had all the right ideas. It's just so extremely difficult you'd almost like you need a big board of people. I don't know. It's just really difficult to make the questions real world enough to where they were personal to all of us,
Right.
And not Google generated.
Right.
And you run out.
It comes off cold. Yeah. It comes off cold and formulaic, and it's no good.
You run out and trivia, a little tricky. I mean, it was, there's bound to be something along those lines that could really work. And I just don't know what that is.
I think so too. I think I'm not sure. I could speculate, but I thought it should have done better than it did. And to answer, Steve in the chat says, "Are you going to get NorCal Dave on?" He was just on like a week or two ago. So rewind after we're done.
So isn't that saved?
Yes. Yeah.
So Steve could actually go back 2 or 3 weeks.
Actually, you know what? Since I know we're about done here, so I'm going to find that link. I'll just put it in the chat
there and let Steve watch that, because that NorCal Dave dude, man, he was quite entertaining.
He's hilarious.
That's my opinion. I thought he was just really. I thought he was a lot of fun.
No, he's great. I've talked to him. I've actually interviewed him ever since I first started doing the podcast. He's one of the first people that I interviewed on the podcast back in 2017. So I've really enjoyed kind of following along with him over the last few years.
And Steve says he will.
Oh, good. I'll give you the link here, Steve. It was, it's number 10. I guess, I don't know, what number are you? Are you number 14, I guess, maybe? Number 14. Yeah. So show number 14. So here's the link to the one from NorCal Dave is in the chat over there. All right, we're going to have to wrap this up because it's about my bedtime. I actually just passed it, to be personally honest with everybody, because I didn't sleep that much last night, so I'm pretty tired.
I was told to water the cat and the dog like an hour ago.
Yeah, that was a while back. So, Ted, we're there, man. Nah. So you do this again now. We interviewed you when? A couple years ago? Something like that?
We had some fun with smoking policies and some other stuff.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
And so, how we got started. So, if you think up some more data, which that's the part I can't do. You think up some more data, I'd be glad to be part of it.
Well, that was my point. You're going to be, it'll be the gap between this show and the next one will be much smaller, is what I was getting at. So you'll be back sooner.
If you come up with another game show, I'll probably obsess over it, and not many other people will.
I think I probably don't have to come up with nothing. I think you'll just continue obsessing about the current one and be fine, probably. Why should I have to do work?
3 years now? That's what
yeah, it has. It has been 3 years. That's exactly right.
That I don't know, man. That was just a lot of fun for me. I wish I could be that guy with those clever questions that were real, but not, I don't know how to describe that.
Well, I understand. It'll be out there floating around. If someone gets the right handshake or whatever and figures out what's going on with it, maybe that happens one day. I don't know. But right now it's just secondary.
Let me correct Joe Shearer right quick. No, Joe, you need to be sure to pray for the fake Joe when you go to bed. because, in all actuality, who really looks foolish here? So,
Lessons from Ted, everybody.
a little something to pitch in there. Yeah. Pray for your enemies.
That's right.
Because most of them don't really realize what jerks they are. Most of them really don't realize that. And then you always got to remember, you know what? That could be me. So I'm glad I'm not the jerk and they are. So, yeah, have sympathy. The Bible tells you to have sympathy for your enemies.
Yeah.
It tells you that in quite a few places.
And it says, in being kind to your enemies, you will heap burning coals on their head.
Well,
that's what it says. That's Romans.
Yeah, that's Old Testament stuff there, sounds like, is it?
It's new. It's new. It's Romans. It's
really?
in the New Testament. Yeah, it's basically for all the people that says, I don't want to be nice to that jerk. All right, fine. Just be nice to him. It'll be like heaping coals on his head. All right, I'll do it.
Yeah, that's an adult thing to think through. Don't read that in your Sunday school class to the little kids. That's a thing for adults to think, but
truly, yes.
Argue all you want, but don't argue with the Bible. And that is what the Bible says, Joe. So you go do that. Oh, he says, pray for Luke, fake Joe. No, there's no hope for Luke. Leave Luke out of this. That's a whole nother show. We're not going to start on him.
All right. Ted's finished with the chat. I'm tired. You guys can tell it's starting to kind of wane. We're waning. Actually, we're not. Actually, the viewers are not waning, but I'm tired, and we have to do it again some other time. And I'll be back next week. We'll have more shows. I don't know who I'll get on next week. Hey, Ted, let me ask you this: if you could see one person on this show besides Steve Lav, because he said no, who would it be?
Steve said no.
All right, you have to get past that part. Now, who would you want on the show?
Give me like 30 seconds here and do you have the Jeopardy song? Ding, ding, ding.
30 seconds, I'll be asleep.
Okay. I would go after,
look at this on the spot. We're going to watch the struggle.
Yeah, that is a tough one because you've had a lot of the good ones.
The guys like Ted pick me. You don't even have a channel.
Who? Yeah, you do.
Mikey Pipes. I don't know who that is. I don't know who Mikey Pipes is. Joe Shearer. Hey, I will get Joe Shearer. That's actually pretty good. Let me write. Joe should be on the show again. He's already doing the other show. You might as well do this one too. He's been on here before. Yeah, he comes on and he has Bible study with us. See, here's the Bible.
Joe's a rabbi, isn't he? I thought Joe was a
misconception.
Choir boy.
He's a choir boy. He's not a rabbi. He was once a rabbi. There's a whole story with Joe. We did a podcast before where he's talking about how his family was Jewish and he became Christian. Oh, there's a whole big story that goes along with it.
You know who's a nice guy? Have you had Dallas on before?
Dallas Grissom. That's a good suggestion right there. I don't know if he'd do it or not. I haven't talked to Dallas in a while.
He appears to be a really nice guy. I've only seen him about twice. And I know you've had Curtis. Now,
Curtis was on last time.
Oh, was he?
That's where I got the Ameristar pictures.
Was he clowning around? Oh, okay. Never mind. All right. So that ship has sailed. So
he'll be back.
I'll tell you what, we'll just have to let the jury sit out on that. And if I can think of a good one, I'll text it to you.
Absolutely. Because I'm always looking for new people. I've done like 14 shows in a row now where it's been different people. I don't want to repeat for a little while. I want to get a bunch of guys up there. RJ Parker says Ralph. Ralph said he'd be back on the show. I haven't talked to Ralph in a while.
I'm pretty sure Ralph would.
He's been on the show like 100 times. I'm sure he would do it. Well, he was the co-host for a while.
But I haven't seen him come on and talk about what he's doing now for quite a while.
No, I have no idea what he's doing now, actually.
He's still doing what he was doing before unless something has changed.
That's what I'm going to guess. That's my speculation in advance.
Right. But if I do think of somebody, I'll definitely toss it your way.
All right, Ted, you do it.
That's for sure.
We got to wrap this thing up. You need to go water your cat, and I'm going to say bye-bye to you, okay?
I appreciate everybody watching.
Thank you, Ted. I'm going to hit the button here, and I'll see you on the next one. And bloop, there goes Ted. All right. So, Ted, go water your cat and your dog. We're going to take one last quick break. I'll talk for a couple minutes, and I'm going to go sleepy. So, let me see. Let me take a quick break here. What are we going to do? Let me find something. Here we go. All right. I'll be right back, guys. Refrigeration Technologies makes some of the best HVAC chemicals around, and that includes wet rag heat blocking putty that prevents your vital system components from being damaged while you're brazing. Also, there's Nylog, gasket and thread sealant, a variety of uses including sealing up flares, gaskets, and other HVAC joints and connections. Last but not least, there's Viper Aerosol Cleaner. I use it on evaporator coils. It foams up beautifully, does a great job cleaning. So if you need anything in the HVAC chemical arena, choose Refrigeration Technologies. You can find out more at refrigetech.com and purchase at truetechtools.com. All right, here, guys. Last thing of the evening here is like to do. I was going to read like a whole big thing, but I'm not going to do that now because I don't think we really have time for all that. So I'm going to read one verse. And what it is, this is Luke chapter 16. And really, it was the very first verse through the 20 or 13th. It's called the parable of the dishonest manager. But I'm going to read the last little part. And actually, I'll read two little parts here. And here's the first one. It is part of verse 8. It says, "For the sons of the world are more shrewd in dealing with their own generation than the sons of the light." I thought that was kind of interesting when we talk about business, because basically it's saying that these Christian guys that are following Jesus are not going to be as good at making these worldly deals, these shrewd deals, because it's going to be out of their nature by the time they become Christians. So I thought that was really interesting. And the second one is chapter 16 of Luke, verse 13. It says, "No servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money." So a lot of the business talk we have, you're doing a good job for your customers. Loving your neighbor is essentially doing a good job for people. And then the money will come as you do good work and you do good things. So that's where I think I'm going to leave it tonight. No giveaways or anything like that tonight. Maybe do that next time. I'm going to get out of here, guys, because I know it's late. I'm going to go have some microwave popcorn, and I'll see you on the next one.